fabulous. Boy, oh boy, do I have a story for you today. I am not going to lie. This one is going to be a difficult one to tell. And in about a couple of minutes, you'll see why. So it happened about a month ago, right before Jordan trip. What happened, I don't know exactly. About 2 days, yes, it was actually exactly 2 days before the Jordan trip, I went to one of the parks in Rome to work out with one of my clients. Typical day, same park. I've been working out there with clients for over 2 years, not a big deal. We worked out on the grass, and near us, people were cutting the grass. So, you know, there were those machines that cut the grass. So I guess grass was flying all over the place, different directions. And we were working out on that part where there was no more grass. They just cut it. But I honestly didn't pay attention. Typical morning, typical day. So what happened is I worked out with a client and I came back home, and of course, you know, I was feeling sweaty and it was hot. So I just decided to wash my face because then I had other workouts that I needed to run to that day. So I remember putting, you know, my face wash on my face, and I just, you know, started applying it. And as soon as I got to this area of my face, to the nose, on my left side, as soon as I rubbed it in, I felt a sharp burn. It was almost like someone was cutting my face with a knife. And it was really painful, and I'm pretty tolerable to pain, but it almost made me scream because it was so painful. And within 1 or 2 seconds, I just started to see small like zits appearing on this side of my nose. So I thought, well, this is probably, you know, just some zit or something, or some irritation. It's gonna go away. I mean, it happens, you know. I'm dealing with mats, and I was outside, so, you know, I didn't really pay attention to it. So I had to run right away. I had about 3 other workout sessions and some meetings in between. So I was all over the town. So my next client was about 40 minutes away from my place. So by the time I got to her, I looked in the mirror, and because it was inside of her apartment, and I noticed that it's getting more and more red. So I thought, that is weird. Well, maybe because I washed it, maybe because, you know, I rubbed it a bit, maybe I irritated it. I said, it's fine. This is not my priority right now. The workout is my priority. So let's just concentrate on it, and then we'll see at the end of the workout. So we worked out for an hour. I come back to the hallway. I look at my face, and I noticed that it got more and more red, that area around my nose. And I thought, this is not normal. Something is going on. And I just had this gut feeling inside me that something is going on. But again, I just didn't have time to focus on it. So I called one of the doctors in the US, and I asked, you know, for their opinion. And, you know, he suggested that I go to a pharmacy and show them, you know, my face, and maybe they can prescribe something. But I just didn't have time because I had to run to another workout at another location. So it was another 30-40 minutes. So by the time I got to that location and saw my client, her first reaction was, what happened? And, you know, I didn't look at myself in between those 30-40 minutes, so I thought I'm kind of the same, but I guess it got worse. And when I looked at my face, I was like, oh my God, things are getting worse. But again, you know, I didn't have really time to give it a thought. I had a workout with her, And by the time we were done, it was about 7:30 at night. By the time I got to the nearest pharmacy, it was closed because it was about 8 p.m. So I didn't have time to go to the pharmacy and try to get something, which is a good thing, as I later found out. So that evening, you know, I started to see blisters appearing all over my nose. It was burning, and the blisters were appearing, and they were getting bigger and bigger, and it was getting more and more red, and I didn't know what to do, what to think. So I, of course, thought, you know what, maybe I irritated it. Maybe it's something, I don't know what it is. I'm going to go to bed, and then tomorrow morning, the pharmacy is going to open at 9 a.m. So I'm going to be the first one in the pharmacy, and I will ask them what's going on, and I'll have them actually recommend me something, maybe that I can apply some cream, something that will make it go away, because I had only one day before Jordan, only one day, guys. So I go to bed thinking that, you know, in the morning, this is how things are going to happen. I have a workout with a client early morning, 8 to 9. At 9, I'm going to run to the pharmacy, get some cream on, and it's gonna go away. And it's going to be, you know, a thing of a past. Not so fast, guys. Around 4:30 in the morning, I wake up because I'm feeling lots of pain in my lymph nodes on my left side, just the left side where this whole thing was happening. And I don't know what it was, but it was really hard for me to breathe. I don't know, it was because I started to panic, or because it was, you know, something was going on with my throat. I have no idea, I'm not a doctor, but it was hard to breathe, and my lymph node got so swollen on my left side. It was just painful. It was so painful, and I look in the mirror, and this thing that does not have a name got even more and more red, and the blisters got so big. They were big and disgusting, guys. I've never had anything like this on my face, honestly. And thank God I was blessed until that day, but I really never seen anything like this. And I didn't know what it was. Because at first I thought maybe it's hives, you know, even though I never had hives before, but I thought maybe that's what it was. But at that point I realized it's something way more serious. So I honestly didn't know what to do. I found out there is a phone emergency line for foreigners. Even though I'm a resident in Italy, you know, you still, during this kind of, you know, times, you actually panic, and there are no emergency rooms like there are in the US. I mean, I'm used to emergency room. They were all over, you know, where I lived. So if you had a problem, if you had an emergency, you went to emergency room. And I thought, well, where do you go in Italy if something like this happens? So, you know, I Googled it, and they had some doctor that, you know, foreign or like doctors for foreigners that you can actually call, and they will arrive directly to your home. So I called the service, and the lady said that unfortunately right now all the doctors are occupied, and the first available doctor is going to be in 1 hour. And I was like, no, I'm not having it for 1 hour. I can't. It was hurting, and the gland was swollen more and more. So what I did, I started Googling pharmacists, and I found out that there was one pharmacy that was not far away from my home that was open 24/7. So I went to that pharmacy, and in the middle of the night, well, it was more towards the morning, but obviously it was still dark. And when the pharmacist saw my face, and, you know, he was like, no, you have to go to the hospital. This is way beyond my scope of expertise. You have to go to the hospital right now. So I didn't know which hospital to go. I've never been to the hospital in Italy, thank God. And I was just, you know, at this point I wasn't thinking, you know, being afraid of hospitals or anything. At this point, I just needed someone who is a specialist to look at it and tell me what it is and make it go away, because it was scary, guys. It was really, really scary. And I've started feeling that I'm getting feverish. I was getting feverish, and this was getting more and more swollen, and the blisters were getting worse. I mean, it was, yeah. So I go to the hospital in Prati. When I got there, you know, I didn't know what to do. The lady at the reception checked me in, and then, you know, she called me into the room, and she said, well, what happened? And I told her the story, you know, saying pretty much, I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was. I don't know what exactly provoked this whole thing to happen. I was in the park. So I pretty much told her what I told you guys. And she said, okay, well, we need to give you a shot of cortisone to make it, you know, to hopefully the inflammation go away. So she gives me a shot, and then she just, you know, says, okay, that should hopefully heal it. Don't put any makeup on it. Don't put anything on it. And I'm like, I have a trip to Jordan coming up. Like, how am I not going to put any makeup on it? You know, I have to film videos, I have to film workouts, I have to take pictures, I have meetings. How? And she said, absolutely not. You can't wash it with anything. You can't put any makeup on it. Just don't touch this area at all. So of course I'm leaving, just not knowing what to do. You know, but inside me, I'm just realizing that this is something that happened to me, and I have to accept it, because there is nothing that I can do about it. It happened, right? So what is the point of me pretty much, you know, being upset or cry or depressed, or God forbid, I'm going to say, well, you know what? Forget the whole trip, I'm not going because this is on my face. You know, I just decided that I'm going to deal with it. That if this is how it's going to happen, I need to find the solution of how I'm going to deal with it to the best of my ability. So, you know, Zoe and I, we were packing for the trip, and I just said, Zoe, I'm going to take every single pair of sunglasses that I have. So I started getting the sunglasses out and packing them, and then I tried to put one of them on, and I realized that I can't really put it all the way up because, you know, it would be right on that wound on the left side. So I had one pair of sunglasses that you guys will see in every single video in Jordan, including my workouts, that I was able to put that would not really irritate this because it wouldn't touch the wound. And I actually was able to wear them on the lower part of my nose. So Zoe said I'm starting a new fashion trend, wearing sunglasses, you know, on the tip of your nose. So I packed all my sunglasses, which were useless except for one pair. And the next day, there we were at the airport. And of course, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you guys know I actually shared this with you from the board of an airplane. I actually sat down, had a glass of champagne, and actually showed you what I'm dealing with because I couldn't wear any makeup, you know, so I showed it to you raw, you know, what is going on. And honestly, at that point, I felt like the shot that they gave me at the hospital is going to be a cure for all. So I was in a, you know, in an optimistic mood, thinking that from now on, it's going to get better and better and better. But I guess I was too fast to make this kind of conclusion. So when we get to Jordan, we get greeted, you know, Jordan hospitality is always just, they take it to the next level. Everyone is so nice and so welcoming. And of course, I'm wearing this huge pair of sunglasses because honestly, not because I was embarrassed of how I looked, but I just felt like it was really unpleasant to look at because the blisters at that point were just big and yellow and just nasty. And by the time I got out of the airplane, they actually started to leak. So they were literally leaking. And to some point, to be honest, it was my fault. Well, it wasn't intentional. What happened is during the night, because that wound was itching so much, I somehow, I guess during sleep, scratched it. So after I scratched it in my sleep, it just, from there on, all the blisters were leaking. Guys, disgusting, just disgusting. So I am at the airport with those big sunglasses, you know, smiling, happy so much to meet everyone. And then they took us to a hotel, and you guys saw, well, I showed it to you on Instagram, and you're about to get so many videos on Jordan. You guys you're going to feel like you went there. And of course, that is one of my biggest goals, is for you to feel that you know Jordan well, and to, of course, inspire you to discover this place for yourself, because it's truly, truly something special. I mean, honestly, guys, I can't wait to go back to Jordan. This country is just, I fell in love with it, with the country, with the people, with the hospitality. Anyway, getting off the subject. So once we arrived to our suite at Hotel Rotana, you know, we were tired. We went to the restaurant, and I was wearing those big sunglasses, and I couldn't really see anything because it was super dark. And so I was reading the menu with my phone, and I was just trying to understand everything that happened to me in the past 48 hours. Here I am getting ready for a trip, of one of the trips of my lifetime, you know, something that I've been waiting for 3 months. And right before it, 48 hours before it, I get this thing that I don't even know how it happened, where it came from. And now here I am sitting in Jordan with this, you know, wound that has blisters all over my face, and they're leaking, and it hurts, and my eye is pulsing, and my lymph node is still swollen, and I am feverish. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, I gotta make it. I have to make it somehow. And it's like, you gotta get through with this, even though you just want to enjoy everything so much, because everything is just so incredible, and you just want to have the best trip of your lifetime. But then it's something that you just can't ignore, because it's hurting, because it's there, because it's painful, it looks awful, you know. And I just, honestly, at that lounge, at that restaurant, I was sitting, I'm like, I'm not taking my glasses off. I am not ruining anyone's appetite, because it's awful. And I just can't believe it's something on my face, honestly. Because I thought to myself, well, if it was something on my arm or my leg or some area that I can cover, then, you know, I could have dealt with it. But it's my face, and I am in a foreign country, and it's scary. So the next day I wake up, and of course, in the last 3 nights, my ritual is wake up and run straight to the mirror to see and to hope that there have been some improvements, you know, to notice at least slight change, to kind of get yourself inspired that, you know, you're on the right track. Because we needed to film a lot of things and take pictures and figure out, you know, what are we wearing, where are we going, just hopefully have some breakfast. So there were a lot of things that we needed to do before the car would have picked us up. And we had a big day ahead of us with the tour, and people that we needed to meet, and all that kind of good stuff. So pretty much I wake up that morning, and right even before I looked at myself in the mirror, I feel like it's really hard for me to almost open my left eye. It's, you know, it's like that sensation where you try to open it and you can like almost like see your cheekbone, because it just, there's something that is, I don't know, it's just like a swelling, right? So I'm like, uh-oh. So I go and look in the mirror, and what I see, I was not prepared for that, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. So during the night, I guess the infection spread, and it spread all the way to my left eye. So not only I had super swollen, you know, this part of the nose, red blisters on top, but it also spread all the way to my left side. So it started, you know, getting more and more higher towards the eye. And of course, you know, it was on top of the eye, it was on the bottom, and the eye was just closing. It was hard to see. So I still had fever, and this side was still super swollen. And anytime I would lean forward, it would be such a big pulsing sensation in my eye. It felt like my eyeball is about to pop out. So, you know, at that point, you kind of need a moment to get yourself together. And I'm going to be honest, there was not one single time that, and at that particular moment as well, when I thought, you know what, I'm just going to stay in my room. I can't, you know, I'm feverish, I'm not feeling well. I have this thing, I don't know what's going on, it's scary, I'm in a foreign country, I have a full work day ahead of me, and, you know, my face is a mess. So, you know, I said, okay, you know, let's just deal with this. Put, you know, some makeup everywhere except for around this side, because I knew I'm going to be wearing my signature sunglasses, and put some nice clothes on. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to have some breakfast, and then I'm going to film Rotana tour. I started filming my travel Amman video, and then of course I took some pictures for the Instagram, did Insta stories. So, you know, I just dived into work, and thank God, because, you know, I'm so passionate about what I do that it took my mind off this whole situation, even though I still felt it. But because you get so excited and so inspired doing something that you truly love, that was I was focusing on the whole day. And, you know, again, it was just full day of walking around, filming, discovering new places, talking to people, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful day. And so I went to bed probably around like 11, 12. And you know, was just thinking, I was like, please let me wake up, and for it to at least be just a bit smaller, the inflammation just tiny bit to go away, just something, just please. Or at least let it not progress. Just let it not progress. Let it just at least be like this and not get any worse. Well, didn't happen that way. So the next morning, Zoe walks into my room and she's like, "Good morning, Anastasia." And I literally cannot open my left eye. Like, I try to see her, I'm doing this kind of like, you know, and it's not opening. So I knew it got worse overnight. And at that point, it got scary, honestly, guys. It just got scary, because you're thinking, what am I going to do? And then we had, of course, another full day of things that we were doing and people that we're meeting and videos and pictures and all that good stuff. And in the evening, and Duke of Jordan invited us for a dinner, and we were guests of honor. And I just remember I was telling Zoe, I was like, Zoe, what am I going to do with my face? What am I actually going to do? And she's like, you know, you're a rock star, just put those glasses on and rock it. So I said, okay, well, what are my choices? This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to have this stop me. You know, I just going to handle it again to make the best out of the situation. So I put a dress on, I put sunglasses on, did my hair. I remember I just had lots of hair going on the side of my face, and we went to the Duke of Jordan, and maybe he was a bit surprised by my appearance, but of course I explained to him and his wife, and they were just such a kind, such beautiful, beautiful people, and of course they understood. And yeah, again, the whole evening I had to stay in glasses, and it was just really, really disgusting, because, like, I'm not joking, I literally felt how my blisters are like leaking. Thank God I had glasses, so no one could see that, but I could feel it, and it was, yeah, it wasn't pretty, and I knew something needed to be done, because it was getting way, way worse. At the end of the night, I talked to one of the most amazing people, honestly, that I met, and now I consider him a dear friend. I talked to Khalid, and I said, Khalid, who, you know, one of the organizers of the trip, and I said, Khalid, I need something to be done. This is antibiotic. I really need to have it, because this is bad. This is really, really bad. And he said, of course, Anastasia, no worries. We will go to the pharmacy, and we'll get this antibiotic for you. So, you know, at night we are on our way to the pharmacy, and my God, guys, how much I was impressed by the pharmacy in Jordan, in Amman. My God, guys, it was like entering, I don't know, Walgreens or Rite Aid. It was just incredible. It was so pristine, so clean, so beautiful, and the pharmacist was super knowledgeable. I told them the name of the drug, and I honestly, you know, thought that, well, I'm in Jordan, what are the chances that, you know, they will have antibiotic that was recommended to me all the way in the US? And the pharmacist, you know, looked at me, examined it, and said, yes, absolutely. He found the antibiotic that I was prescribed with. I actually didn't even need to go to the doctor in order to get it. So he gave me the antibiotic to drink every 8 hours, and then I had also a cream that I needed to put on this whole situation every 8 hours as well. So as soon as I had that antibiotic in my hands, it was like, hallelujah, oh my God, I have the cure for this. I have the cure. So of course I, you know, drank antibiotic every 8 hours, was putting that cream all over the wound, and kept wearing sunglasses. And of course, you know, having antibiotic is not the most ideal, because even though I took it as prescribed after some, you know, after a meal, it was still, of course, messing, you know, with my stomach, and I was feeling very nauseous and just not at my best. So between having antibiotic and then dealing with the situation, you know, it was not ideal. Let's just say it was not ideal, but I made it, guys. I made it. And by the end of the trip, even though, you know, it was still there, it was getting better and better and better every single day. And every single day, at least, I was not worried that it's getting worse. I knew it's getting better and better and better. And it's so funny, because the last day that I was in Jordan, the whole thing peeled off. I was like, so it had to happen on my last day in Jordan. The whole thing just peeled off. Of course, it was still red. It's still, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's still, you can, you know, I put obviously makeup on it now, but you can still see maybe just tiny bit. But of course, the worst is, you know, the worst is in the past, and thank God it did not leave any scar, which was just the biggest present, honestly, that I could ever potentially receive from higher forces. So I'm just so happy that, you know, that it ended well. But the reason why I wanted to tell you this story is because I know that we as humans will go through our life journeys, and each one of us has a different life journey, a different path. But one thing that we all have in common, one of many things, of course, is there's going to be times, and I'm sure you already had this in the past, when things are not going to go your way, when things are not going to happen the way you wanted them to happen, or something sometimes might happen in your life that you just want to just pull your hair out and say, why this is happening to me, or why did this happen to me, why now, how did I deserve this, or why me, or why is this happening, this is not fair. And the reason why I wanted to tell you this story is because, of course, a few years ago, I would definitely have that same reaction. I know I would cry. I know I would just be frustrated and angry and upset and sad. And I would say, why did this happen? This is not fair. This was my trip of a lifetime. You know, I waited for it for 3 months. And now here I am, you know, at this trip, and I'm dealing with this situation, and it's scary and it's frustrating and I don't know what to do. This is not fair. And, you know, I could have easily go down that road, and you guys know that, you know, the more we work ourselves up, the bigger deal it becomes. And then one thing after another, we are sad, we're crying, we're depressed, we want to talk about it more and more. And I believe the best way to handle situations like this in our lives is, instead of asking ourselves why this is happening to me, or why did this happen to me, ask yourself, what is the lesson here? What is the lesson here that needs to be learned? What is it here that I need to understand, that I need to learn? What is the learning opportunity here? So when you ask yourself, not why this is happening to me, but what is the lesson here, you look at the same situation from a completely different angle, and you feel like you are in control of the situation. You know, you take this life as a journey, as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to discover. And this is what I always told you guys, that this is, I believe, one of the biggest purposes of each one of us here on the planet, is that self-growth process. And we should approach every situation in this way, not as this is unfair, why this is happening to me, but what is the lesson here? What do I need to learn here? And you know, I asked that myself, and I had you know, a few really good meditation moments, and the lesson was learned, and it just gave me a completely different perspective on things. And you know, guys, after this thing was behind me, I felt like I can handle anything that comes my way. Of course, I always felt like I could handle anything that comes my way. You know, my whole life has been made of different things, just like any human being that I had to overcome. But it almost felt like sometimes that I wasn't in control. You know, it would, something happen and you react, something happened and you react. But this was for the first time in my life when something happened, and instead of reacting, I kind of just stepped back and thought, okay, I'm still in control. This is a learning opportunity. What is the lesson here? What can I do to understand what is happening here, and what kind of lesson I can take from this experience into the future? And it felt good, guys. It felt like I was in control of my feelings, in control of my emotions, and I was more mature. I didn't react. I didn't fall apart. I actually took the situation as a learning opportunity. What I encourage every single one of you guys is to never take anything that happens to you as a punishment, or something that is outside of your control, or something that you can handle, or something that is going to provoke all those emotions of frustration or anger or sadness or depression or desperation. Anything that will ever come your way, no matter how difficult it seems, how challenging it seems, no matter how much you think you can handle it, if you ask yourself, instead of saying why this is happening to me, if you ask yourself what is the lesson here, it will give you so much strength, so much confidence, so much that the feeling of control, that I promise to you guys, when you overcome this thing, and you will feel like you can conquer anything and you can overcome anything, and that you have this new way of dealing with anything that is going to come your way. And you will have appreciation that this thing actually happened, because you will see what a different human you would be prior to this experience and after that experience. So take every single thing that comes your way in this life as a growth opportunity, as a learning opportunity, as self-improvement opportunity and self-growth opportunity. And that is it. And of course, guys, I will see you all next week. And until then, and always, and no matter what, stay fabulous.